So just tell us, what are you telling Donald Trump right now?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that, but I'll tell you what I will tell you that I believe, and I think there's no doubt about this, everyone agrees on this, the more he stays on the fundamentals, the more he wins. Because if we ran this as a computer election just based on fundamentals, he wins. The country is 70% going in the wrong direction. 70% feeling that the economy is hurting them. Whether it is or it isn't, they believe it. Donald Trump can bring jobs. Donald Trump can renegotiate treaties. Donald Trump can put coal miners back to work, steel workers back to work. Donald Trump, you know, can stand up to Putin. All this stuff about Putin, and you've seen Donald. You think Donald Trump's going to let Putin push him around?
Can he stand up to Iran? Okay, so here we've got this latest news surrounding this alleged ransom paid to free American hostages. White House press secretary getting into a heated exchange over the issue during the White House press briefing yesterday. Josh Earnest was pressed several times if the hostages would have been released if the money wasn't paid when it was paid. Listen to this.
Isn't it essentially a ransom payment then, even if the U.S. does not view it that way?
No, it is not a ransom payment.
Would those prisoners have been released then if this money hadn't been paid then?
I think what is true is that there were a team of negotiators.
But again, would those prisoners have been released then if this money had not been paid then?
What I can tell you is that our negotiators who were talking with the Iranians about what was necessary to secure the release of American citizens in Iran succeeded.
But it was a pretty simple question. Would those
well, let me just say one other thing about this.
If the money wasn't paid on that same weekend?
Well, again, I guess what I'm saying is it's a pretty simple negotiation that took place.
We all know the money was paid the day that the hostages were released. We all know that Iran was, in their propaganda, saying that it was ransom.
This is why Trump's going to win. That is exactly what he's running against. That man, Josh Earnest, I don't know him, he just lied. I mean, that's an
and people know it.
I mean, you'd have to have an IQ of -2 not to realize he just lied.
So, Rudy, how do we get to the point where we're focusing more on that? Because you look at the polls right now, Trump and Hillary are neck and neck in trustworthiness, and it shouldn't be that way, but it is. How do we get that point across?
Well, first of all, we're still in the summer. I don't believe people focus on elections until about 45 days out, really focus.
Okay.
I think you get about 3 chances to, I mean, Nixon had the theory of ebbs and flows in campaigns. Reagan had the theory of the right moments in campaigns. What you just saw has happened so many times that the American people believe that Washington is crooked, that Washington lies, and they're right. They do lie. That not only was that a ransom payment.
When they say, let me be clear, you know they're going to lie to you.
That's $400 million in cash, American cash, taken from here to Europe.
In Swiss francs, in euros?
Yeah. Well, here's what I call that. And this is why the Justice Department complained about it. I call that money laundering. I call that trading with the enemy. I call that illegal dealings with Iran. The law, which I went to read yesterday, says directly or indirectly. So just because they paid it in Swiss francs, that's the indirectly part of the law, right?
Mm-hmm. And why all cash, so it just can't be tracked?
Because they wanted to lie.
$400 million in cash.
This is the way I convicted people, when they would do transactions in cash that the normal person would do. And if I had somebody that put $400 million in a trunk, went over to Europe, converted it into European money, you don't think I could put that person in jail for money laundering?
Then put it in an unmarked jet.
By the way, the Justice Department just shouldn't object to it. The Justice Department should investigate it. What do you mean the Justice Department objected? The Justice Department is a prosecutorial agency, not an advisory agency.
But they all serve.
Oh, they're all going to cave in because we have, as Donald Trump says, a crooked, rigged system. It's the only reason she's not indicted. She directly violated federal law, and she hasn't been indicted.
But you're on message the way everybody wants Donald Trump to be on message.
Yeah. Watch. Give it time. Have patience. Donald Trump is going to win this election because he's where the American people are. He's got to get some of his other things out of the way and focus on that. He's got to focus on the key parts of his campaign, like he did in his speech. His speech is a perfect outline of what his campaign is going to be about, should be about. There'll probably be a few more deviations, but, you know, she's going to have a few more. Mr. Assange claims he's got more emails.
Right.
And if you don't think the Russians have all of her emails, then you have no idea of how good the Russians are.
But look how great the Dems were around the DNC emails.
Well, that's because they're loyal.
They completely changed the conversation to Russia.
And all of them are look. You can't tell me that half the Democrats don't realize that Hillary Clinton is the biggest liar they put on their ticket, probably in this century, but they don't go around saying that.
Right.
And when Hillary gets a report like the report from the FBI, which condemned her, you didn't hear a bunch of Democrats saying, how can we put her on the ticket? So I wish my party would have a little more loyalty.